Hello. Do you want to play a game?
Be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
Hello and welcome to Cheers to Fears, where we combine alcohol and horror for your entertainment. Today we are making a drinking game on Terrifier. Terrifier was written and directed by Damien Leone, who made an indie anthology movie called All Hallows Eve. From there, he wanted to expand on his own character, Art the Clown, which led to the creation of Terrifier.
The protagonist of Terrifier is Tara, who after spending Halloween night with her best friend, gets stranded without a way home. Along the way, they meet Art the Clown, who immediately gives Tara bad vibes. After ducking out on her friend Dawn to go to the washroom, Tara finds out that her instincts were right in the worst possible way.
Just a bit of a forewarning, the drinking rules do have mild spoilers within them, so just be a little bit forewarned about that. However, it's not going to take you out of the movie too much if this is your first time viewing Terrifier. Without further ado, let's move on to the rules.
So the first drinking rule, as always, is death, and how could we not include death for Terrifier? And this gave us 11 sips.
I guess expanding on that rule a little bit, it's amazing how gruesome the deaths can be with such a poor budget.
Yeah, very low budget, but still done very well, and you can really see, I guess, Damien Leone's history as a special effects artist.
Yeah, definitely.
So it definitely shows.
Shines nice and bright in this movie.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next rule, which is whenever somebody screams, cries, or yells, you take a sip, and that came to a total of 22 sips.
Yeah, surprisingly average. You would expect more based on how crazy this movie gets.
Yeah.
But I'd say it picks up quite a bit in the end, near the middle and end, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of it's Victoria.
True.
I guess we'll throw that out there as well.
Tara's sister, yeah. Yeah, that's true. But anyways, let's move on to rule number 3. And this one is whenever you see Art the Clown. And this gave us 21 sips.
Yep, we do this a lot for horror movies, I'm pretty sure.
Especially slashers.
Especially slashers. We always add whenever you see the antagonist in the movie, you take a sip. I feel like we do that for a good chunk of the movies anyways.
For sure.
For slashers.
And I think with Art the Clown specifically, it's nice to include because we're both big fans of his aesthetics and the way he looks and just his actions and mannerisms. They work so well together, so we really kind of want to make a point of including that in the drinking game.
Yeah, he's a very lovable, awful person.
Exactly.
Let's move on to rule number 4, which is whenever clown is said, and it's only said 5 times in the movie.
Yeah, that's super surprising to me. Like, you would expect them to just be talking about how fucked up this clown is or something, you know? When it's Dawn and Tara hanging out, like, oh my god, that clown's fucked up, or whatever. But yeah, five sips, it's not very much.
I guess they're not really talking about Art the Clown when Art the Clown is front and center. They're not saying, oh, there's a clown over there.
Yeah, of course.
Except for, I guess, in just kind of the opening scenes in the pizza diner. And that could probably be it.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to rule number 5. This one's a little bit more of a hard hitter. It's whenever Art smiles. And this gives us 20 sips for this drinking game.
It's kind of sadistic how he smiles even when murdering people.
Yes, and it really shows how just like unhinged or psychotic he is, I guess. I don't know, it's a little unsettling to say the least when you see him smiling when somebody's just like getting fucking brutalized.
Definitely. So moving on to probably one of the more brutal rules in the movie, whenever a stab, cut, or shot is inflicted, you take a sip, and that came to a total of 31.
Yeah, this was mercied quite a bit, as you might be able to tell with 31 sips. Also, at this point, we're at Rule 6, and 4 out of the 6 rules have been 20 or more sips, so yeah, clearly you're in for a ride with this drinking game.
Yeah, it's a brutal movie with brutal drinking rules.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand perfectly for this slasher. Anyways, we'll move right along to the next rule, which is whenever you see a weapon. And another hard hitter, it gives us 23 sips.
We're not slowing down at all. A weapon, we should say, is defined as an object that is meant to do harm. So, for example, a lumberjack using an axe isn't a weapon.
Yes.
But it's using a weapon when, say, someone like Jack Torrance is wielding it, attempting to murder his family.
Exactly. And right out the gate, the opening scene, it's going to be mercied for this rule because we see all of his little
toolbox.
Array of his toolbox, his weaponry, whatever. So yeah, it's a hard hitter, I guess.
Now moving on to rule number 8, we take a sip whenever Art is doing something comedic. This rule gave us a total of 19 sips.
Yeah, so maybe not quite as hard hitter, but still a good amount of sips. And this one, I guess it's worth mentioning that it's kind of up to your own interpretation. Some very obvious when to call it out, but some could be debatable if it's actually comedic to you, I guess. So it's really up to you when you call this one, but you'll get around 19.
Yeah, certainly.
So moving right along to our second last rule of this drinking game, it's whenever Tara is on edge or worried or nervous, something along those lines. And this rule only gave us 8 sips, actually.
From the very first minute that she sees Art, you can kind of tell that she's worried, to say the very least.
Pretty much. And she kind of gets herself in weird situations, even going into that weird building. I don't know if it's an apartment building or what, but even then she's kind of weary of it. But yeah, it happens. You would expect it to happen more, but I think it's mostly just like one continuous worry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like that rather than her getting worried several times.
Yeah. You can kind of use your own interpretation on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the final rule. This final rule is brand new to the series because you waterfall through a certain scene. This scene, you waterfall for the upside down saw scene.
Yeah.
We don't want to spoil too much, so you'll kind of know when it hits. But anyways, we got a total of 15 sips if you're going slow.
Yeah, if you're going slow, 15. If you're going at a decent pace, I'd say you're probably going to finish an entire can on this scene. Honestly, it's really how you pace yourself in doing it. It's not going to be the exact same between two people, so just bear that in mind when you're watching this scene.
Yeah, this rule you kind of have your own control over. So if you want to pretend you're taking a sip and just lifting up your can, I mean, hopefully people don't call you out for it. But
well, yeah. I mean, don't kill yourself either.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You don't want to drink too much and be hurting the next day.
Speaking of drinking too much, that leads us right to the totals for this drinking game. We got a total of 175 sips, and that's with the conservative 15-sip waterfall, so bear that in mind. But that's equivalent to just under 6 drinks based off our 30-sip per can scale. And yeah, to say this is a heavy drinking game is an understatement, I guess. And this is only the first Terrifier.
This is the first Terrifier movie.
Which is an hour shorter than the second one.
Yeah,
so
it's not 2.5 hours. It's as brutal as the movie itself, we can say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps take a few breaks, throw some waters in there. So many rules have 20 or more sips.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard drinking game. And yeah, like you said, we just make it brutal because the movie itself is brutal, and we like to throw some challenging ones out there every once in a while. So what better franchise than Terrifier to do that with?
Definitely. I completely agree. Anyways, with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed our drinking game on Terrifier. If you end up playing the game alongside the movie, or if you have any other feedback or suggestions, let us know in the comments below.
Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next drinking game coming out, which is the sequel, Terrifier 2. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and this is us saying, cheers to fears.